The Shakers. Who were they? What did they do? Today, we're in the place that they called home, quite literally, New Lebanon, New York. Bordering Massachusetts, about 25 miles outside of Albany, this small town of about 2,500 people might not seem like much. With a handful of gas stations, restaurants, churches, and a few tired-looking stores, the main drag through town is not something you would probably write home about. But maybe you should, as the history here is quite fascinating. New Lebanon was the main home of the Shakers, a religious social group that practiced egalitarianism, the belief that all people are created equal, particularly in equality of men and women, with many women taking leadership roles in their society and religious organization, a practice not common in this time period. Their beliefs would lead them to live a celibate and communal lifestyle, practicing pacifism, seeking utopia, and have a focus on charismatic worship, which is actually where their name comes from, originally called the Shaking Quakers, for the erratic movements that they would make during worship. The Shakers first came to this area in the 1770s, a group of English transplants that had a spiritual vision to fulfill by coming to America. They lived together, worked together, worshiped together, and ultimately became a commune of people that was very powerful in its time. The community here was one of the primary Shaker communities in colonial America, with over 600 members in the Mount Lebanon Shaker Society by the 1860s. While their spiritual beliefs were definitely anything but traditional, some might even call their beliefs pretty extreme, with one of their leaders, a woman by the name of Mother Ann Lee, claiming to be the second coming of Jesus Christ. She would tour up and down the east coast of early America, preaching to anyone that would listen. She is buried in the neighboring town of Colony, New York. In addition to their communal and spiritual beliefs, the Shakers became known for their craftsmanship, known for building and distributing plain, unadorned furniture that became known as the Shaker style of furniture. Here in Mount Lebanon, they specifically ramped up production of Shaker-style chairs, a style which would be picked up and produced by multiple non-Shaker companies of the time as well. Hard work was a core element of each Shaker community, with agriculture playing a large role in the daily lives of the Shakers here in New Lebanon, as evidenced by this massive stone barn, supposedly the largest stone barn in the United States. Sadly, a fire gutted the interior timber structure some years ago. Additionally, there are agricultural sheds dotted around the property of the outdoor museum that is currently in the grounds of the former Shaker community here. The Shakers here were even supposedly the first to come up with the idea of putting seeds in small paper envelopes, a practice still commonly used today. By the middle of the 1900s, the Shaker community here dwindled down to nearly nothing. One by one, Shaker communities were closing up shop. Today, there are only 2 people remaining that are practicing Shakers, living in the last Shaker community in existence, which is in Maine. Here in New Lebanon, the Shaker buildings were either sold, becoming private residences, are now a part of the public museum grounds that I walked to make this video, or are a part of other educational and religious groups still functioning today, such as the Darrow School and a Sufi retreat center. Taking a look around town as it is today, you can see lots of great old buildings, including the Church of Our Savior, as well as some interesting old commercial buildings along the Columbia Pike. The Mohicans, the natives that first inhabited this area, blessed the area by stating that the thermal waters of this area should be made available for all people, a statement that has continued to be made public by this little fountain and park beside the town office building. New Lebanon was also home to someone that was famously almost President of the United States. Samuel Tilden, born here in 1814, ran for president in 1876, becoming the first presidential candidate to have won the popular vote, but losing the electoral vote, making this a very disputed presidential election, with Rutherford B. Hayes winning the electoral vote by only a single vote. If you are interested in seeing what it's like stepping back in time to explore the remains of a religious commune of a bygone era, or simply see a unique old colonial era town, New Lebanon is worth a look. We'll see you next time somewhere else down the road.